everyone. And I think I got a little bit excited there because I'm generally really excited by today. So I am joined by the one and only Sam O'Neill. Sam, it is so lovely to have you here. I think you and I actually have quite a special story having worked together the way we have. But before we dive in, I'd love for you just to introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Great. Well, thanks, Sam. I appreciate being talking to you and being here today. And we do have quite the story, even though our names are the same. You know, there was that immediate bond right there just by being a fellow Sam. So I'm Sam O'Neill, and I'm the founder of Forge Point Solution Groups, which is an HR consulting group that focuses on the HR operations side of the world, and helping companies with their human resource side and their people side. I've been in HR, oh my goodness, for about 30 years now, mostly in corporate, and I started Forge Point Solution Group the beginning of May.
Amazing. Amazing. And Sam, as you know, the purpose of Mindability Matters, and you were part of our team that came up with it when we were thinking about it, is to really promote and showcase some of the great work that's going on out there right now in terms of how we move things forward with the future of work, the fact that it's here now. And, I think you do so much within the business club and seeing some of that great talent that's emerging and growing in some of the great work that's being done. But I'd love to hear more about your story. What's brought you here today to do the work that you're doing?
Well, I love being part of the business club, and have met so many amazing people that are doing great things in the world of HR. And I think for me personally, I have been in corporate for so long, and I've talked about going into consulting for years. And for whatever reason, it just never panned out. The timing wasn't right, or there are so many other things that just, you're hesitant. You don't know if you can do it. Are you going to survive? There's so many consultants out there. What makes you different from the others? And will I fail? Won't I fail? And the last company I worked at had some layoffs and some downsizing and some reorganization, and my department was part of that. And my husband said, "You've been talking about this for so long. Now is the time." And I thought about it, and I said, "You know what? Now is the time. Why not?" And so that really got me to move into consulting. And I talked to a bunch of my friends and colleagues who went from corporate to consulting, and picked their brain of what worked and what didn't work, and how did you go out doing things. And the more I talked to people, the more excited I got about it. And day 2 after starting my business, I had an organization call me to do an investigation. And I was so excited because I'm like, oh my God, it's 2 days in and I'm ready to go. And I know it hasn't been that long, but I've really enjoyed it. I love the variety, the different kinds of projects and companies. And I have the consulting bug, and I love it.
It's just been fabulous seeing how you've literally taken to it like a duck to water, and you've just gone straight out there, straight out the gates. And I mean, my goodness, it's, you're operating as an established business within year 1, and you're nowhere near year 1 yet. And I am so pleased for you because you put so much hard work into that. What's been the biggest challenge for you so far, would you say?
I think the biggest challenge is really wrapping my head around the fact that I'm now a business owner, and you have to think like a business owner, and not a corporate employee. So I think getting your head around that has been the biggest challenge. And never running a business before, you know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. And people will ask you questions. Oh, how are you handling this? Or what are you doing with this? And I remember when I first started, I was talking to a marketing, one of my friends who went from corporate to her own marketing, PR, communications consulting firm. And this was, I don't know, maybe the second week. And she's like, "Oh, what are you using for accounting software?" I was like, "Accounting software? Oh, I need that, don't I? I don't know. What are you using?" So, all of these little things that you just really don't really consider when you're at corporate because it's already there for you, and now you have to think of those things yourself, and you have your network of people who you can tap into. But I think really for me it's going from that, I'm a business owner and I really have to forecast and think about things that I didn't really have to. You do think about it, but from a different perspective when you're in corporate versus when you have your own business.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. And I always think it's really interesting because when you're in corporate, it is these are such big beasts, and you yourself should, you've been there, you've been part of it, where it's phone numbers, right, in terms of budgets and people you're dealing with. So change is hard, and I get it. Change is hard in corporates, and it's very easy for companies like mine to kind of do the corporate bashing and say, we've got to change, we've got to change. Now you've had time to be out for a while and running your own business, and you've seen that alongside running very large corporates. What are your hopes and dreams for how companies change, and what can corporates learn from smaller businesses that you've seen?
I think the biggest thing is, I think HR still has a very varied uh, perception of the department, right? I think corporate wants to utilize HR the way that we as HR professionals want to be utilized. I don't think all companies really know how to do that, or they're still stuck in HR is the catch-all, or HR hires and fires. And I think that really makes a difference in how HR is utilized. And I think there's so many people, so many companies. Matter of fact, one of my clients right now, um, one of the reasons that I was hired originally was they weren't able to hold on to HR people. And they really wanted to understand what they were doing wrong and how they could fix this to really have an HR partner. And so I think more companies like that would be great, who really want to understand how to use HR the way that HR is truly meant to be. And I think that that's a big component of it.
Yeah, yeah, and I've seen you, I've heard you week in, week out in terms of the difference and impact you've made for your clients. What are you most proud of in terms of some of the achievements you've gained for your clients so far?
Um, the ability to um, change the perception of HR in their organization, and being able to provide them with tools that they haven't had before. A lot of what I'm doing is coaching managers, making them stronger leaders, and also giving them the tools that they need to be successful as a leader. And I think that has been the the biggest achievement so far. I think there are so many people that are put into leadership positions and are given a set of floaties and said, here's a set of floaties. Let me toss you in the deep end, where they've been really strong individual contributors. So they're put into these positions, but they're not given the help and the support and their coaching that they need and they deserve.
Yeah,
And I think that is hard for people because they want to be strong leaders, but they might not know the right things to do, or they might need to fine tune things. And so being able to help companies with that and help the individual leaders achieve what they want to and give them tools in their toolbox to be stronger leaders, I think that's been one of my most fulfilling um, achievements so far, because I love helping people succeed and helping them get to where they want to be.
yeah, and I agree, and I love hearing that difference and impact that you've made, and it's very clear from the kind of clients you're winning and work you're now getting. What's when you look forward, say 4 or 5 years in terms of the dream for you, what would that be? Where would you like your company to be?
Like to finish year one.
Looking
I
like
want to finish year
one
one
now.
successfully. I think, I really enjoy what I'm doing, and I would like to have, um, I guess, the reputation of Forge Point Solution Group to be the go-to for leadership development, for coaching, for helping organizations really understand and position themselves to partner with HR, really on the people side. Because at the end of the day, it's about the people. And if people are happy and engaged, and fulfilled personally, they benefit the company and they stay longer and they're more loyal to the organization. And I think, down the road, I would love for Forge Point to have the reputation of being that partner with companies to help them achieve that.
Yeah, I love that, and I can see you doing that. You know, you've got you're one of these incredible human beings that, you know, so much can be going on the surface, right? You know, there could be bombs going off, there could be all sorts happening, and you just cruise through. You're always that calm person, and I'm like, how does she do it? How is she staying so calm? And I, I think that's a huge part of leadership, isn't it? It's knowing that it's all going to be okay.
Well, I'm glad that actually comes across externally, because internally, not so much. So, but I think, being an HR professional, you've seen a lot. I've seen a lot in my career, good, bad, and everything in between. And I think if you, as the HR person, get all freaked out, you need to be the voice of reason, and you need to be the calm person, because your role is to set the example for others. And so I think if you are freaking out externally, you might be internally, but externally, if you maintain that calm demeanor, I think that helps sort of de-escalate the situation. But yeah, inside it's not always the case. But yeah, so I'm glad you say that it looks that way. So that's good. That's what it's supposed to be.
It does. I mean, I think you and I had similar struggles in terms of, you know, keeping up with technology and keeping up with some of this other stuff, but we both try. I think that's the thing, right? You know, we
Mhm.
both try. And on that, how do you see things like, and I know that we haven't talked about this previously, but how do you see things like technology impacting, say, your role and the workforce over the next couple of years?
Well, I know personally I'm not as strong in technology, as we know before this call, because I was having a little panic attack of, having some technology challenges before this. So, I think keeping up with technology, I think, AI is a huge component, of moving forward with companies going forward, whether you're, an entrepreneur, a consultant, or a larger organization. I think that is going to have a huge impact on so many different things. And I think we have to figure out, how we go through this journey where AI and other technologies, supplement and, enhance, but don't replace. And I'm not sure really what the fix is for that, what the answer is. I don't know, but I think it's an enhancement. It's not a replacement, and I think we have to figure out the balance of that, because I think so many people in HR, even not in HR, because HR, everyone does HR. Everyone has a component of your, position in HR. You're communicating, you have peers, you have coworkers, you have to interact with a variety of different kinds of people. And and there are so many people now that you hear, well, I'm going to Google it, or I'm going to AI the answer to how to handle a situation or a legal situation or an employee situation. And that's great for sort of the foundational piece. But if you don't know how to navigate that situation, that's where the people side come in, and where you have the professionals to help. And I don't think AI or other technologies can really replace that personal touch. But I'm not sure really how to balance that yet, and what the future holds for that balance and enhancements.
Yeah, and I think you've raised a really good point. There's so much. It's the more we progress, I think the more complicated it becomes. And even when you simplify it, technology is, I think, will and continues to enhance, um, relationships and communications. I mean, for example, we wouldn't have met without technology. We wouldn't have grown our working relationship and our friendship if it hadn't been for that. I think there's huge benefits. And it was really interesting. I was talking to another HR consultant last week who said to me, Sam, 2 years ago when I had Future Speak, which was another show I was hosting, I had two HRs in the studio, and we were talking about the fact, again, talking about technology. And back then I said, I fundamentally believe that, the metaverse and everything else is almost the white elephant. Personally, I think it's all about holographic technology, and that's here today. And 2 years ago, you could be on a stage, Sam, you could be on a stage presenting in Tokyo, and yet you're in your home, and they're hearing you in 60 languages. And this other HR consultant said, Sam, I thought you were mad. That was ridiculous. And then she looked into it and said, actually, it's not ridiculous. It's a very long-winded way of saying I think it's exciting. I think it's scary, and I'm all about embracing it. There is that. As a kid, I had FOMO, right? Always had this thing of, I was last to leave the party, I was first there. Got over it in my older years, right? But I do have that FOMO. I am worried about it, and I do think we as an HR industry as a whole need to learn to embrace it and find our way. But I'm not sure what that looks like yet, and I think that's certainly something that's a red flag for me.
Yeah, and I totally agree, and I feel like if we don't embrace it and figure out how to work with it, we're going to be left behind, and you don't want that to happen,
Yeah,
as well. So, you know, and one of the things I think, my goal for 2024, well, after starting the business and making sure that I had what I needed to launch it, as I look to 2025, I want to spend more time going to seminars and understanding more about AI and how you can use it to complement what you're doing, and not just from a consultant standpoint and an advising standpoint, but also organizations and how they're using it and what their thoughts are. So that's definitely one of the things that I want to learn more about in 2025. And, to some extent, I know, there's been a lot of, webinars and resources that have happened in 2024. And I'm probably behind the eight ball a little bit with that. But, my focus was really launching the business. So that's definitely a goal for 2025, because I don't want to be left behind, personally and professionally. So I want to make sure that we figure out what's going on from the AI technology standpoint to be able to utilize it in our businesses and be successful with it. Not just for you, like I said, but also for the businesses that you support.
yeah. And I think, one of the things that we're finding right now is, I know that it's, I'm the content side of AI, and the generative side is very different to other aspects of it. And Toby's brilliant at that, and really made me realize that, to your point, there's a huge element that we're not embracing. And that's why one of the things that I've got on our list, and I'm actively talking to people, is we have an AI faculty member next year. we need that, right?
Yeah.
For ourselves, for other team members, it's going to be really crucial. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm all about learning about it and what comes next. But what comes next for Sam with all of this?
Oh, goodness. I don't know. I think I am loving what I'm doing right now. I have a variety of clients, different sizes, different industries. And I'm also involved in so many different projects, investigations, and learning and development training. I'm partnering with an employment lawyer, and we're going to co facilitate training. And so for me, I want to be able to keep doing what I'm doing right now. I'm
Mm,
really enjoying it, more so than I ever thought I would. When you're in corporate, as an HR advisor, as an executive, a lot of what you do is advising and
yeah,
counseling and helping people, right? And I'm still doing that. And that is my passion. That's my love. And now I'm able to do it, more on my terms and with clients that, are really looking and want that help. And I love that partnership. And I want to continue to be able to grow, the business, grow myself as an individual, because I think if you stop learning, then that's a problem. Um, but for me, I want to continue to keep doing what I love and what comes naturally. And, the advising and the counseling and the training, the coaching, that to me, that's I think it's in my DNA and part of who I am, and I want to continue that.
yeah, it's definitely in your DNA. I'd wholeheartedly agree with that. If a business leaders listening to this, either live today or on one of the YouTube or the podcast channels, and they're looking at 2025 and thinking, okay, well, I have no idea where to start with HR. What advice would you have for them today?
No idea where to start with HR. I think, the biggest thing is reaching out to somebody who knows what HR is and how to utilize HR in an organization. And I think, it goes back to what I said earlier. I think there are some companies who, oh, I can do HR. I can interact with people. But there's so much more to that. There's the compliance side, there's the empathy side. There's right now, the one of the biggest challenges I think in a workplace is mental health. It is
Mm,
real. People talk about it. um, I went to get mental health first aid, training, because it was such an integral part of your day-to-day interactions with people. And so I would say for corporate people who don't know how to really utilize HR is to reach out and get help and talk to people who, like myself and other consultants who do what I do, and really get an understanding of the benefits of HR, how to set up HR, how to utilize HR, how to partner with HR, because trying to figure it out yourself, might not be the best approach.
yeah.
People get consultants for finance or marketing or so many other avenues that, um, you know that they might not feel comfortable with. HR should be no different than the other kinds of consultants that are out there.
Yeah. And, I almost think and this, we've talked about it, it's an industry thing. Is the word actually HR? What does a business owner understand what HR really means? Because it's so much more than, as you've just explained beautifully, it is so much more than compliance or a handbook um, it is about, here's your business plan, here's where you want to go to, but you need people and machinery, possibly, in order to facilitate and get to that growth period. And within that, have you got that bit right?
Yeah, and it's so much more. I feel like HR in general is so much more complex than it used to be, right? Like, right, you have the mental health, you have the workforce development, you have some companies have 5 different generations of employees working, with them. One of the companies that I worked at, the youngest employee was 19 and the oldest employee was in their 70s. And how do organizations navigate that and make sure that they're putting programs in place that resonate with all different kinds of generations and all different employees, and that special sauce that makes them tick? And I think different generations and different people in general, um, that special sauce is individual and it's not a one size fits all. And I think HR has, should be utilized more in an organization to help organizations navigate that. Because again, if you're not providing what the employees are looking for or need or want, they're not going to stay. And it really, it's going to have an impact on engagement and turnover. And I have, and I posted this on LinkedIn, I don't know, a couple months ago, is I was talking to an HR professional, um, and they were a party planner. And it just made me so sad that
Mm.
their skills and their knowledge and their expertise were going to waste because they were party planning. And that's really not what you should be using HR for. It's just so much more than that.
Oh, yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? I remember years ago, when I was selling HR services, I went into quite a swanky time film studio, and the HR was working 16, 17 hours a day. She was doing all the she'd got all the birthdays done. It was Christmas party time. It was, and I said to her at the time, why are you doing this? There's a perfectly good receptionist who doesn't seem to be doing much right now. And you're a very expensive resource to be doing this. And I quote, because there's no one else who's willing to do it in the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When do you think we're going to see, or what's going to make HRs stop leaving in their droves? I know that a lot of it right now is being driven by layoffs, which is shocking in itself. Totally the wrong people to get rid of. But what do some of these large organizations need to do to take heed, to take better care of, well, someone like you who was in the role that you were in?
I think, really the burnout is real, right? When you are an HR person, in an organization and you are interacting with employees, um, you are doing a lot of counseling, right? People come to you and now people are coming to you for personal issues. They're not just human, they're not just work related issues, right? And there people used to say, check your personal life at the door and come in and focus on work. But work life is so integrated,
Yeah.
the hybrid, the working from home, the stressors of whatever people have going on in their personal lives, it has an impact on work. And I think HR does a lot more counseling and conversations with employees about their personal things that are going on in their personal life, in addition to what's going on at work. And that takes a toll, on individuals in addition to your day-to-day work. And you know, I think companies need to be more aware and appreciative and empathetic about that, because that is hard for people. I was working in a hospital as head of human resources during COVID, and that was tough. It was, you needed to be there for the employees. The clinical staff were seeing things that they were not prepared or trained to do. Families weren't able to see their families when they were, people were passing, and it was just horrific. And you were there. You were the person that were there to help the employees through those situations. So you're helping them, and then you're taking that on for you personally. And then what do you do with that? What kind of help is offered for you as that individual? And I think for companies to realize that and help, and wellness is for all employees, and HR is an employee. It is the function, the people in HR are employees as well, and they go through and experience and feel just like all the other employees. And I think sometimes people forget that. And the burnout, the not feeling appreciated, the being tired, that's real. That's real for employees and HR as well. And I think that is a big piece of it.
Yeah. Well said, Sam. Well said. Um, yeah, and sadly, I don't see that changing anytime soon in terms of HR's leaving. But I also think the other side, I would say this, right? I think the grass is greener. There's more opportunity. You can lead the life you want. You can replace your corporate income. I am not saying it's easy, because it's not.
No, it is not.
Um, but it is possible, and it's a thing of great joy, as you and I both know.
Yeah, deciding to go into consulting, I was hesitant for years. Like I said in the very beginning, is it going to work? Isn't it going to work? What happens if I fail? What happens if I'm successful? So you go through like all of the feels and all of the scared moments, and I've been very fortunate that the business has kicked off very quickly from the beginning. And I have an amazing network of people who have been supportive and have provided references and resources. And for me personally, I am incredibly grateful for that, because it has helped me personally and it has helped my business grow. So I feel very fortunate about that. But I also, I love the flexibility. I love being able to work with the clients, that we have the same thought process, we have the same mission, we have the same values. Um, and I think the other thing that I've learned that is nice that you don't have the ability to do in corporate is you can say no. Is if something doesn't work, or you don't have that good feeling, or you have an intro call with somebody and you're just not jiving for whatever reason, it's okay to say no. You don't have that ability in corporate. You deal with the cards that you have. So yeah, so anybody who's thinking about going from corporate to your own consulting business, I wasn't sure how I would feel about it, but I am happy, and I love it. I think I found my niche.
I think you have. Now, Sam, I've got some really serious questions to ask you now.
Okay,
You
I'm
ready?
ready.
Okay. What is your favorite cheese?
What is my favorite cheese? Oh God, I am really not a cheese person. I think pepper jack. I like pepper jack. I like spicy. Yeah, yeah. Um, Goat cheese is my least favorite cheese. That is the most awful cheese ever. Yeah. And
Yeah.
when you order something with goat cheese and people bring it, you're served it and it's on your food and you say, "Ooh, without goat cheese," and they go back and they scrape it off and then they give you the food back, you can still taste it. So yeah, not goat cheese. But I think my favorite is pepper jack.
Love a pepper jack. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can feel a trip to base coming on this weekend. Next question, and this is equally as important. I know that you've just come back from a brilliant trip to Disney World. Um, did you please, though, take any swimming pool floats with you?
Oh no, not at Disney. So Disney is hardcore going to the parks. We have a mission to get to the park when it opens. We're there for the day. We do the rides. We do all Disney. But I do have an annual trip that I take with my best friend, and we go to Marco Island every year. And every year we go, we learn a little something new. And oh, we're going to do this next year. And this past year was we're bringing floats with us. So we bought these little chair floats with a little backrest and armrest,
Nice.
and they had two cup holders, one for your adult beverage of choice and the other one for water because you have to stay hydrated. So it was all the best of all worlds right there. So that is my favorite float.
I love it. And what
Yeah.
color did you choose for yours, please?
Mine is blue because blue is my favorite color. Yes.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Awesome. Now, what is your worst film you've watched this year?
Worst film. I think there were two worst films. One was I don't remember the exact title of it. It was the last Jurassic Park movie that came out, Jurassic Park 4, or I forget
Or
the.
I think I've only seen 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think it was the fourth one. Whatever the last one was, it was awful. And then there was that so I grew up watching Planet of the Apes. And so my husband was like, "Oh, there's a new Planet of the Apes. I think we need to go see it." And so he and I went with my son. And so my husband chose the Jurassic Park movie and the Planet of the Apes movie. So the joke in our household is he's not allowed to pick any more movies because they're awful. And you can't stop watching them because it's like a train wreck, and you're just like,
Oh,
is it going
yeah.
to get any better? And yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, awful. Yeah, he's not allowed to pick movies anymore.
No, no,
No,
I can't blame you. Yes, Susanna, I think it's been a great session. Hasn't Sam been great?
thank you.
Yeah, I think there's been a few times like that where you just think it's like a really bad book. I feel like if I don't finish it, I'm letting myself down. So I have to read that book right to
Yes.
the end because it's going to get better.
Yeah, and you can't, or you keep trying to read it. Like there are books that I've picked up and I'm like, all right, I can't get into it. You put it aside and then like, all right, I'm going to try it again. And you can't get into it. And I'm like, all right, I have to. And you like force yourself to read it. And I don't know why we do that, but I do that too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And yeah. Yep. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm. So, Sam, if someone's watching this or listening to it afterwards and they're thinking, really like the sound of this girl and I want to get in touch with her, can you share with everyone how they can get in touch with you and what's the best way to do so?
Sure. So I'm on LinkedIn under Samantha O'Neill. And my work email address is soneill with two L's at forgepointsolutions.com. And you can also find my website at www.forgepointsolutions.com. I feel like a little commercial there.
Yeah, little commercial just for you there. It's fantastic. Sam, thank you for everything you do. Not only have you just smashed it and you've been a pleasure to work with, but you do so much in the business club. And I'd love for you to share if anyone's kind of watching this and keeps hearing the business club, what's your take on what the business club is and what do you get out of it?
Oh my goodness. I get so much out of the business club. So, to go with the very beginning as to how we met was, I kept seeing your name on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and then you did a free webinar, and I was like, oh, and so I joined because starting a new business free works. So, and then we just started talking, and and then I joined, and oh my goodness, I have learned so much from the business club, from you, and also from everybody else that participates. Right? You share the highs, you share the lows, you share what worked, what didn't work. Hey, has anybody come across this? And it's just amazing. I've learned how to write proposals. I've learned how to do pricing. I've learned how to negotiate. I've learned how to be okay with a no, whether I give it or I receive it. And just share ideas and tools. There's so many different things that you just don't think of, or somebody else has tried and it's worked. And just that camaraderie of everybody in the group, um, it's really, for me personally, it's been phenomenal. I've learned a lot, and I've met such an amazing group of people that have become friends and colleagues. And it's nice to know that you can reach out and ask a question and get a response, or be able to commiserate or congratulate each other on whatever it is. And it's just a genuinely good group. And there's no competition. It's just, it is what it is, and it's just so helpful. I personally love it, and I'm very grateful that I'm a part of the group.
Oh, Sam, thank you. And Monica, thank you for your lovely words. Great job, Sam. And Sam,
Thank
Samo,
you.
can't wait to see what 2025 holds for you and your business. You're amazing. She is indeed, as you are too, Monica. Great session last week with Monica. And there's a little bit of a surprise that Monica sent me that we'll be going into the club next week. She knows what it is, but you'll have to stay tuned or join. Just saying. And if you did want to join, click on the QR code, come join us for a 7-day trial, and let us help you be successful next year. So it leaves me just to say, Sam, thank you for just coming on today. Thank you for just being an amazing human being. You know how much I love you, and
Oh, thanks,
I'm
Sam.
I am so excited for 2025 for you. I want all the good things for you, and I know you'll get them. And yeah, without further ado, I'm going to see if I can do this exit right. What can possibly go wrong? Two middle-aged women dealing with modern technology. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.